Hi again, everyone. I'm Scott Douglas, and welcome to TNT Motorsports Tuff Trax. We're in Nashville, Tennessee, as we go by Opryland, USA, and head over to Nashville Motor Raceway for the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. The superstars of monster truck racing doing battle at the Nashville Motor Raceway. Last week, we were at Nashville Motor Raceway as well, and it was one of the most controversial runs we've had all year, as defending national champion USA 1 was disqualified. A heated argument ensued, and truck owner Everett Jasmer claimed that he was cheated. USA 1 would have won easily, he said. Here's a portion of that interview from a week ago.
Yeah, I just wanted to make mention that we come out here, Rodney qualified that truck 2/10 faster than anybody else out here tonight. I know we would have been running in the 7s by the end of the night. This was our race to win, and we got cheated out of it, and it's going to come to an end.
Once again, let's look at the videotape. That Jasmer's not happy about it all. The rules state, though, that you have to have both wheels hit the front obstacle. USA 1 on the left-hand side of your screen. It looks clear from the videotape that he did not get both wheels on that front car, and that's what caused the disqualification from a week ago. Later on, it would be King Crunch coming through the field to get the victory over Equalizer in the championship matchup. It was Scott Stevens and King Crunch's first victory of the year. Army is standing by with last week's winner.
Well, last week in Nashville, Tennessee, Scott Stevens out of Woodland, Texas, put King Crunch in the winner's circle for the first time in 1989. However, Everett Jasmer, the owner of the USA 1 truck, went on record to say Stevens did not deserve that win. His truck should have been declared the winner. Scott, what do you have to say about that?
Well, you got to get the final round and crossing the line like Rod's been doing the last few weeks. He's just not been driving very smooth this last few weeks. And, you know, we out-qualified him in Hagerstown. We qualified quick and qualified real slow last week in Nashville, just to get a feel of the track. And we ran real quick. We went really straight last week, straighter than anybody. And said, you know, you got to keep it on the track to win the races. And the guys being real erratic like Rob's being in and out of the gas, you know, it just don't work on a rough track.
Speaking of the track itself, the first ramp seems to be the trick to this track. A lot of guys are getting really out of shape. They're having problems. They're getting into the second jump real crooked. They're blaming the track. However, you ran on the same track and you won with it. What's the difference here? Explain why these ramps are so important.
Well, it's just like a few weeks ago in Hagerstown. The guys they're so used to just hitting the cars wide open and being out of control. And on this track, you just got to really drive the track. And, you know, the truck's got to work real good, and you got to just use your head. And you can just hear the throttles in the truck, and they're not using their heads, and they're getting in and out of the gas. They're out of control.
Well, in order for the USA 1 truck to win, he's going to have to start tonight in Nashville, but he's got to get past Scott Stevens to get to the winner's circle. Now let's check with Chris Chapman and see what else we're going to be seeing on Tuff Trax.
Thanks, Army. We'll be bringing you modified four-wheel drive truck pulls from Owensboro, Kentucky. And among the stars that you'll see there are Manuel Marino and Donnie Sanders battling out in the points. And a little bit later on in the show, we'll introduce you to the stunt man of steel. Now, Jerry Allen says that he's going to take his car and drive through the Nashville Motor Speedway and crash into 2 more cars and come out of that unscathed.
That's a little bit later, but Chris, first we're going to look at some qualifying highlights in just a moment from the TNT Monster Trucks in Nashville. We'll see the runs of USA 1 and King Crunch. But first, we asked USA 1 driver Rod Litzow about last week's disqualification. Like Everett Jasmer, he's not happy.
Yeah, I was disqualified last week, and I feel it was an unfair call. But I'm going to come back this week now, and we're going to be going as hard as we can. It's a tight track, but we're set up for it. I know I can do it. I'm here to win.
The confident defending national champion, Rod Litzow, USA 1. Last week's disqualification cost him a chance to win 5 in a row. Here he goes on his qualification run, Army.
We're keeping an eye on him to see how smooth the truck is. Again, he drifts off the side of the cars. Now this week he's lifting to the left. Last week he was going to the right. At 8:79, that's a quick time, but like Scott Stevens said earlier, you got to be around at the final in order to win this thing.
Definitely looks like he's ready to roll, though, coming over. And you've got to realize he was DQ'd last week. Another truck hasn't beat him, really, in 5 weeks here on Tuff Trax. He looks good again tonight. Yeah, excellent run.
I'm watching a replay. That truck is handling strange compared to the way it has in the past. It's jumping left or right. The truck does not want to go straight. Now, speaking of going straight, that's exactly what won this Chevrolet the first win of the year last week here in Nashville. Stevens rolls up. He relies on a computer. He took a sabbatical for about a year to get his truck dialed in. He came back. He was late chasing these points, but believe me, he can really be the spoiler for some of these guys.
Litzow's time was 8.79. Let's see what King Crunch does, holding that silver flag and qualifying. Outstanding run.
8:79 so far. Stevens goes
8:56. The fast qualifier is Scott Stevens and King Crutch. Is he trying to make a statement to Rod Litzow?
I think he's trying to make a statement to Everett Jasmer. He's got the fastest Chevrolet truck tonight.
Here's the way the pairings will work. King Crutch by run. It'll be Mad Dog against Wild Hare in the other first round part of that bracket. Then Nightlife pairs up with Yosemite Sam. Equalizer and Gravedigger. What a matchup in the first round. Then Barely Tame against Tough Enough all the way up from Phoenix, Arizona. That winner comes back to meet the fast loser a little bit later. And the Master of Disaster goes up against Barbarian. Then it'll be USA 1 doing battle with John Moore's No Problem from right here in the Nashville area. Chris Chapman's been running around through the stands here at Nashville, and she's been trying to find out who the most popular truck is among the fans here at Nashville, Tennessee. So let's find out. What are they telling you, Chris?
Who's your favorite truck out here this evening?
Gravedigger.
How come?
It's a very nice looking truck. It's the best.
At the Nashville Motor Raceway, welcome back to TNT's Tuff Trax as the superstars of monster truck racing on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge get ready to do battle once again at Nashville. Hometown favorite David Moore signing a lot of autographs, and Chris Chapman, he's holding on to the point lead.
That's right, Scott Douglas. He is holding on to that point lead. The rookie racer in the #1 position with the Carolina Crusher right on his heels with 473 points. USA 1 and Rod Litzow in at #3 with 383 points. Dennis Anderson in the Gravedigger in 4th with 312 points. Nightlife and Dave Wazorek in the 5th position with 246. In the #6 spot, it's Awesome Kong with 226 points. And 7th, it's John Breen and Mad Dog with 206. No problem. John Moore in the 8th spot with 197 points. And Stomper in at 9th with 173. And Wild Hare rounds it out. Let's go back to Scott and Army for a call of the action.
Getting ready now for first round action with Wild Hare and Mad Dog. Normally, Army, this would be a matchup of brothers, but Bob Breen's got a couple of weeks off on the Wild Hare, so it'll be Kurt Fisher driving that truck against John Breen's Mad Dog.
Well, John Breen and the Mad Dog, far side, look for a win there. And I tell you why, Kurt Fisher's a tremendous mud racer. He's won national championships there. He just wanted to try his hand at monster truck racing, had an opportunity, and I think he's having more fun than anything. Meanwhile, the Mad Dog is serious and going to that next round.
A victory for John Breen's Mad Dog, and as Chris just recounted, Mad Dog certainly up in the top 10, very solid standing in the national points chase on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge for 1989. All right, we're going to get a look now at the matchup between Dave Wysorek's Nightlife out of Grand Island, Nebraska, and Yosemite Sam. This will be Chuck Four from Newland, North Carolina.
I'm going to tell you something about this Chuck Four kid. He doesn't run the circuit that much with us, but he's put some big names away. Last year, he nailed Bigfoot down in Tennessee. He's a sleeper. If there's ever a sleeper in this sport, it's going to be this truck. On the other side, the Chevrolet of Wysorek runs strong, runs hard. He's a fella everybody likes because he drives with that head out the window. Ford closest to the camera. Chevrolet on the far side. Who's it going to be? Yosemite Sam comes out. We might be seeing one of those patent upsets. Look at here, Scott Douglas.
I think he's going to do it, Army. He has pulled it off. Yosemite Sam, by 1 length, pulls the upset over Dave Wysorek in Nightlife. Wysorek's been in the top 5 virtually all season in the point standings for the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. But Yosemite Sam got it. Army, you predicted it. He pulls an upset every now and then. He sure got one today.
Well, this kid came out of the woodwork and put Wysorek away. I guarantee you, Wysorek is back in the pits kicking himself.
Another guy kicking himself has been Dennis Anderson, who last week was upset by No Problem and has been having to listen to John Moore gloat about it ever since.
Oh yeah, he loved it. You know, I got a pretty bad bounce when I was racing him, and I stepped on the motor kind of hard at the end, but he finally pulled it off and he got me, and he ribbed me for a little while for it. But if we line up tonight, there's no breaks for John Moore.
We'll see if they're going to match up as the Gravedigger is putting those big red headlights on No Problem. There's Nancy Morris, the wife of David Morris, who we talked quite a bit with last week. She's getting ready to watch the Gravedigger in action because he faces off with her husband, David Morris, in the Equalizer.
Well, Nancy's showing us how intense this sport is. You come to win. It's not for grins and giggles. They're going for the national championship. Husband doing the driving on the far side. You know the story. This time last year, they were sitting in the grandstands on their first date. Now, she's married to the gentleman that's sitting in the red truck on the far side. He goes up against one of the baddest of the band, the Gravedigger, and the Gravedigger leads. Equalizer
Equalizer has not left the starting line. Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger is going to get an easy win here. Dennis will cross the finish line. He did touch all the cars properly, and the victory goes to Dennis Anderson. As you get a look at an anguished Nancy Morris, David, now he's rolling backwards. He still has not tried to run the course.
I don't know. Now, it's going to be to his advantage to go ahead and to make a run. The reason being, they can bring a loser back in the next round. If there's any way possible, if he just has to drive over, he's going to do it. That means points, and points is what this game is all about. I'm sorry for his wife. That's a tough break right there.
So Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger get a win without having to go all out.
Dennis, you have any idea what happened to him on that starting line?
I don't know. Maybe his transmission or something went away, but I noticed that he didn't come off the line when the light went green, so I kind of backed out of it just in case he got going. I didn't want him to run me down and pass me, so I just tried to keep a little steady pace going.
What's causing so much bounce out there with these trucks?
I don't know. It's these steep ramps, and then we got 3 piles of cars. We've normally been running with 2 sets of cars with enough straightaway to get straight.
Equalizer will go ahead and make a run, Army, just in case, as you explained a moment ago, that there would be a series of maybe breaks or DQs that would allow him to come back. It's obviously a remote chance, but he's making the run nonetheless. And word is that the engine just died.
Well, and a sigh of relief comes from his lovely wife. You know, hometown boy, you hate to see this happen, but that's motorsports.
When we return, more first-round action, including the Master of Disaster against the Barbarian here on Tuff Trax.
TNT Tuff Trax fans, it's your chance to watch and win on Channel 30. Be the 5th caller at 621-3030 or 322-0317. That's 621-3030 or 322-0317, and you'll win yourself a pair of tickets to the 1989 Mud Bug Jamboree at the Utah State Fairgrounds from Channel 30 and Out of Control Productions. Keep watching to win on Channel 30.
In Nashville, Tennessee, Tuff Trax, bringing you all the awesome superstars of the TNT Monster Truck Challenge, battling for precious national points to determine the 1989 national champion. Well, right now, it'll be a matchup in first-round competition between Tough Enough and Barely Tame. Tough Enough, Pablo Cruz from Phoenix, Arizona. We've gotten our first look at him here on Tuff Trax in the last couple of weeks, and Army, I think he's been very impressive.
Yeah, he's impressed me a whole lot. He's on tour. He's away from home. He has to work out of a trailer. He and the crew have been thrashing. Every week in the truck gets better, quicker, faster. He's going to be a strong charger by the end of the year. I predict he'll put a win under his belt before 1989 is over. He's running that strong, Scott.
He'll go up against Barely Tame and Randy Spanier from Albany, Minnesota, and it looks like it's going to be all Tough Enough as Pablo Cruz finding a way to take the victory. He wins it easily. Give the victory to Tough Enough and Pablo Cruz. That'll send us to our next first-round endeavor here at Nashville. The particulars being the Barbarian of Jim Miller from Nokomis, Illinois. As he lines up, he'll face off with the Master of Disaster. Now, the Master of Disaster is the brother of Barely Tame. That, of course, being Doug Spanier. We saw Randy Spanier a moment ago. This is Doug and the Master of Disaster.
Scott, we got a unique situation here. The Barbarian, his throttle is not backing off. When he leaves the start line, it just goes full boogaloo. He can't back. Look at this run. Oh, he's done some damage. Look, oh, he's getting it crossed up.
You can see the fire on there.
It's hanging up. We had to give him a kill-off sign down here on the end of the track. The throttle, once he leaves the starting line, wide open. He doesn't back out at all.
A cloud of smoke left behind by the victorious Barbarian.
Real quick, gentlemen, I know you're busy. You were awfully busy up in that truck. What was going on that run?
Well, what happened, I just put it to the floor and let my 1,000 horsepower engine go, and I cut loose my front drive shaft, but I got another one, and I'll be back in competition.
What about the engine? The engine did not want to shut down. When you were on the end of the track, you had to actually kill it.
Well, that motor's running so much horsepower that it just almost won't shut down. It's like a big funny car engine, and it's just a lot of power.
A lot of power, and if he can get that repair made, we'll see him again, the Barbarian and Jim Miller. Well, here he is. He's been in the middle of a lot of wins lately, and last week in the middle of a lot of controversy. USA won, and Rod Litzow to face a hometown boy, John Moore, and the No Problem Ford Bronco.
The one of the old classic battles takes off. Hometown boy driving a Ford, national champion, defending national champion, in a Chevrolet on the far side. Now, the Chevrolet feels like he's got something to prove. Not only the driver, but the owner himself. They feel like they were robbed of a win last week. They're out to prove that they belong in the winner's circle. but they got to get past John Moore, and I don't think that's going to be an easy task tonight.
No one's gotten by him easily in Nashville these 2 weeks here on Tuff Trax. And right off the bat, Moore's hanging tough with USA 1. Rod starts to pull him a bit, though. Give the win to Rod Litzow in USA 1.
I tell you what, Litzow with that USA 1 True Value hardware truck was making a tremendous amount of horsepower on the last half of the course.
Give the victory, as I mentioned a moment ago, to Rod Litzow's USA 1. No DQ, no problems with hitting the cars. He hit them all squarely, and Rod Litzow moves into the quarterfinal round. No controversy this week, just a big victory for the defending national champion.
Everybody knows you're under the pressure. You've got to go for a win tonight, so everybody's coming after you. John Moore just ran you a beautiful race. Everybody wants your hide tonight in Nashville. What's going through your mind out?
Right now, I'm putting it all out of my mind because I know that's what they want. All I'm going to do is run my race. I'll run the best race I can, and that's what I'm going out here to do. I'm not going to think about the other drivers. I'm going to run fast times all night.
Good luck to you. See you in that next round.
Thank you.
Look again. Now, this is the timing monitor's view, and you can see just how close John Moore, no problem, was to upsetting Rod Litzow's USA 1 there.
You know, that's the same angle they were looking at last night, trying to catch a disqualification. You can't do it looking from a right angle. You got to look straight ahead to pick that up.
The quarterfinals are set. Here's Chris.
Here's what the pairings look like in our quarterfinal matchup. It's going to be King Crunch, last week's winner, facing Mad Dog. And then we have Yosemite Sam and Gravedigger. The next matchup, No Problem and Tough Enough. And then Barbarian faces USA 1.
Thanks, Chris, and we know there are going to be 4 outstanding matchups coming up a little bit later. But when we return, it's modified four-wheel drive truck pulling, the superstars of the TNT All-American Pulling Series from Owensboro, Kentucky, here on Tuff Trax.
We are in Owensboro, Kentucky for modified four-wheel drive pulling on the TNT All-American Pulling Series. Here are the point standings coming into this event. In first position, it's Manuel Marino and the Yellow Rose. In second, it's Roger Crawford and the Bandits. Third, Tony Osteen and the Georgia Rebel. Fourth, Jerry Weaver and Kendall Special. In fifth position, Tommy Holman and Saturday Night's Driller. Tied in the sixth spot, it's the Tennessean and Wild Blue. Going on to number 8, it's Super Thing. Ninth, the Enforcer, and wrapping it up, it's Scott Smith and Three Bears in the 10th position.
Thanks, Chris. Now, Army, we're ready for action here as Footloose and Temple Brizendine will be our test puller at the Davis County Lions Club Fairgrounds just outside of Owensboro, Kentucky. Modified four-wheel drives doing battle.
I'll tell you what, you're going to get to see the big motor boys are rolling into the bluegrass. 700 cubic inch engines is what it takes to be competitive. Footloose, he's out of Virginia. He's around the Richmond area. Draws that test spot on a new track. Remember, the Lions Club members have added a second track. This is the first pass down it. Everybody's watching to see, will it hold the horsepower?
We're finding out right now. Footloose, Temple Brizendine coming down the track. And it looks like a pretty good pull right now. He's not going to take it out of here. It looks like it's going to be 15 to 20 feet short of that 300-foot mark, 283.81. So that will stand as our first pull, I believe. He'll have the option of dropping and coming back, but that's what they'll try to beat. It looks like he'll accept that pull. 283.81 will be the distance to beat, as Donnie Sanders will now bring out the Tennessean.
I'll tell you how important this event is. Sanders, out of Nashville, Tennessee, is trying to win a national championship. He's currently not in the top 5. He's sitting on a bump spot up in number 6. He bought his engine builder from San Antonio, Texas, Jerry Janke, to Owensboro to help him tune the engine. He and Holman are in a battle royal trying to win this championship, but right now he's had problems trying to work his way back in the top. Has he found the horsepower? We're going to find out right now. The new track has been answered. It will work. It will hold the horsepower. But where do you put it down? Right side of the engine starts to go away a little bit.
But he's out of there, Army.
All right.
It's a full pull for Donnie Sanders and the Tennessean. However, there was some smoke coming out of the engine. Let's see if Army can find out about it.
Well, Donnie, the run looked awfully good, but at the end we started seeing a lot of death smoke come out of it. What was that?
Well, I don't know. There's a little bit of oil looked like come out of number 8, and I seen it. I don't know. I hope it didn't hurt a cylinder in it, but we're going back right now and check on it and see if we did, but, you know, it's not bad maybe.
I noticed your engine builder, Jerry Janke, is here all the way from Texas. Will you guys be working on the engine tonight? Does he help you at this point if you got a problem?
Yeah, he'll help me tonight if something's wrong with the engine. It's I seen him over there a while ago looking at it, and it appears he knows something is wrong with it, but, you know, hopefully it won't be nothing we can't fix. And if it is, I'll just have to change engines.
You're looking at the current national point leader on the TNT All-American Pulling Series Modified Four-Wheel Drive class, Manuel Moreno and the Yellow Rose of Texas.
Scott, he's a current national point leader, but he's also a past national champion. He knows what it takes to win the championship. He runs a construction company out of Seguin, Texas, very successful construction company. But during the summer months, he and his lovely wife go all around the country chasing the national championship points. This weekend, they're in the Bluegrass States. Let's see what they can do. The pressure's on them. A kid from Tennessee has already shown you can bang it out the back door if you can put the power to the track.
All right, it is a full pull that Donnie Sanders put down that Manuel Moreno must now duplicate to try and get a win here. He's going to have to force a pull-off. Moreno gets a good roll out of the chute. What's it look like to you, Army?
Ground speed looks good. A little bit of smoke on the start line. Moreno coming over towards the middle. The good ground speed down the sled. The weight's starting to catch him on the sled. What's going to happen? Close, but oh, he did not make it.
Just a little bit short. The distance at 294.83. That'll be a good finish here at Owensboro, but it's not going to be enough to get him into a pull-off with Donnie Sanders. So Sanders dodges one big bullet right there. Here's another one. The Saturday night driller, Tommy Holman. And you talked earlier about this guy from Wayne, Ohio, Army. He and Sanders have been into some wars as of late.
You know, that's true. They've been in some wars, but there's a common denominator here. The same man builds their engines. They go all the way to Texas to get their horsepower. The engine builder's here. He's got one out of here. Can he get two out? I don't know. Bragging rights will go with this one.
The Saturday night driller and Tommy Holman off the line again. Army, that ground speed looks pretty good.
Well, the ground speed's looking great. He's trying to work the right side of the track, but the sled pulled him over to the left side, and that's going to cost him a whole lot, Scott.
He's going to be just a bit short. The Saturday night driller at 295.59. So that is the second best right now. The full pull of Donnie Sanders, though, is still on top.
Super Run, did you drive the truck over to the left, or did it pull yourself over there?
No, I was trying to find a new spot in the track. The track is totally going away, I feel, and we come over there. When we come down there, I cut her across real hard, hoping I could find a hole in there, and it just wasn't quite enough to get out the end. I think we had the speed, but just a little bit too bad there the last 20 feet.
One more to find out if we're going to have a pull-off or if Donnie Sanders will win it here at the Davis County Lions Club Fairgrounds near Owensboro, Kentucky. But that one is a big one, the Oklahoma Showdown. Mike Johnson out of Perry, Oklahoma.
Kind of interesting, Scott. You go around the country, some trucks work on some tracks better than others. Oklahoma Showdown has won this event before. He's chasing these points. He knows what it's going to take to win. He and his brother think they've got the track figured out. Let's find out. The beautiful Chevrolet Rose, again, coming off the right side. Let's see what he does at the end of the track. The weight box is going up after him. Johnson trying to muscle it out the end. What does it look like from your angle?
He is going to take it out. He knocked the cone over, and that is the one that was sitting right at the full pull distance. Oklahoma Showdown with a full pull.
You guys have won at Owensboro before. Can you put another win under your belt here?
Well, we're going to give it a good shot. This track's always been good to us. It seems like we come up here and can read this track and really figure it out and do good here, so we're going to give it our best shot.
When we return, it's the quarterfinal round of Monster Truck Racing from Nashville, Tennessee. Don't go away. It'll be a battle for the silver flag. You won't want to miss the superstars of Monster Truck Racing right here on Tuff Trax.
Welcome back to Tuff Trax. Scott Douglas, Army Armstrong, and Chris Chapman bringing you all the excitement of the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. The superstars of Monster Truck Racing doing battle at the Nashville Motor Raceway. And we have moved into the quarterfinal round. It'll be King Crunch and Mad Dog to start us off. There he is. He's got the silver flag on the back. Last week's winner, King Crunch. The driver, Scott Stevens, out of Woodlands, Texas, as he pulls up to the starting line. His opponent, as I mentioned a moment ago, is John Breen and the Mad Dog out of Jefferson City, Missouri.
Both trucks run the big block Chevrolet engine for horsepower. There is a difference, however. Stevens' engine is located to the rear of the truck. It seems to give him a little bit better handling characteristics. John Breen has been running the same combination for many years. That's the front engine combination. That does not look like it's the way to go. Look at this rear engine setup. Whoa.
King Crunch, boy, he continues to really run strong on this track at Nashville, Tennessee.
And Scotty keeps running smooth, and nobody else can do that.
Absolutely. Very little bounce in that section of the track where a lot of trucks have really been getting a lot of flipping and flopping to them. King Crunch stayed very straight. He's got himself another win. He's the fast qualifier. He won last week. He looks like the guy to beat. Scott Stevens with another victory. All right, our next quarterfinal matchup will send the Grave Digger and Dennis Anderson up against Yosemite Sam and Chuck Ford.
Dennis Anderson told us earlier, when you see me come to the line with both headlights on, that means I've got it on full tilt. Both lights are on, but the upset truck of the night looks like he might be doing another one, but no, Anderson comes back. What a finale. The Grave Digger takes the win, but he did it in about the last 100 feet, Scott. He came from behind.
He found a little something extra, really got a boost. Here's the replay. They're coming at you, and clearly Yosemite Sam has the advantage until they head for that last set of cars, and then it looks like, I don't know, nitrous something. He had a boost, and boom, Grave Digger pulled it out right at the end.
With both red lights glaring.
So give the win to Dennis Anderson. Grave Digger is moving into the semifinal round.
Dennis, this is your big chance to come back. You're coming back from disqualification last week. The truck's looking good, but King Crunch is who you're going to be sitting next to in this next round.
Yeah, he's going to be tough. He's been pulling out some straight runs. I can't hold my truck straight on this course to save my life, but I'm going to give him the battle of his life.
Dennis Anderson and Grave Digger will match up with King Crunch a little later. But we're back to the quarterfinal action now, as on the far end of the screen you see No Problem, the local Ford of John Moore from Lafayette, Tennessee. However, his opponent has been double tough. Tough Enough out of Phoenix, Arizona, and Pablo Cruz.
He also relies on the Ford for the horsepower. Let's see what's going to happen. A new truck close to the camera in red out of Phoenix, Arizona, going against a tried and true truck close to the spectators. What's going to Pablo Cruz comes out like a rocket, but Moore's trying to come back on it. Look at John Moore in front of his own hometown crowd, takes the win.
He has had a couple of great weeks here at Nashville. Last week he knocked off Grave Digger, moved to the semifinals, and this week he'll be in the semifinals again as John Moore dispatches a very tough Pablo Cruz and Tough Enough. You see Moore climbing out. He's got himself a hometown victory.
Hang upside down.
We might be looking at somebody that's on a roll here. Last week you put the Grave Digger away. Right now nobody wants to go up next to you. You're driving completely different. You are aggressive out there tonight. Why?
We came here to win.
Hometown have anything to do with it?
I'm sure it does. I want to do good being home. This is Nashville, and this is where we want to do good.
Everything looking okay? Ready for that next round?
I got to go put my coil back where it belongs, but it seemed to run better upside down, so I just might leave it there.
Good luck. We'll see you in that next round, John.
Well, what a couple of weeks he's had here at Nashville. John Moore, and No Problem. We'll see that Ford Bronco a little later. You got a shot of the Barbarian. He's going up against that man, Rod Litzau in USA 1. USA 1 and the Barbarian. This ought to be a dandy matchup. Jim Miller is the driver of the Barbarian, Army.
It's going to be a dandy. Remember, Miller pulls the trigger and just rides it out. Look at here. He's way out in front of USA 1. Miller, the Barbarian. What a run. That's got to be the biggest win of his career.
And the surprise of the night, no doubt about it, Jim Miller's Barbarian shocks Rod Litzau in USA 1. And, boy, they've got to be feeling really bad right now. They had talked about how they got robbed a week ago. This time, no robbery to it. It was the Barbarian and Jim Miller flat beating USA 1. And it looked like he missed a set of cars anyway there.
Yeah, well, that doesn't make any difference at this time. The bottom line is the Barbarian going to the next round and USA 1 is not.
Oh, boy, what a big victory for Jim Miller and the Barbarian. He's from Nokomis, Illinois, and right now Army's going to let you meet the winner who just upset USA 1.
Jim, you said you made an engine change. You had just as much, if not more, horsepower than anybody. I think you just proved it. You put USA 1 on a trailer.
Yeah, that's right. I've been trying to do it for about 2 years now, and it finally come true.
You're going to the next round, and he's not. Good luck.
I sure need all the luck I can get.
Here's the replay, and again, Miller's got him clean, and then Litzau missed that last set of cars anyway, but it is a clear victory for Jim Miller. Let's talk to Rod Litzau.
Rod Litzau, it's just like the old West days. You're number one, and everybody's laying everything they got out to put you on a trailer. This kid, 3 months ago, you wouldn't have worried about him, but he wanted to beat you. Everybody wants to beat USA 1.
Yeah, I know. You know, he's got a new motor in there. He's running hard. That's why I said earlier, it's going to take, you got to hook up, hit the cars, and get them on there. It was a close run, but I put what I had in the truck. So,
Rod, the national championship, while it's fresh on your mind, you and Everett are getting back further and further into this corner. Can you still pull this thing out?
Oh yeah, we got to think positive that we're going to pull it out. We got to keep going that way. That's the only way we're thinking.
Earlier, he won 4 consecutive races. He's been cooled off a bit in Nashville, but you know USA 1 will be coming back. However, he won't be in the semifinals tonight. Let's go to Chris Chapman now and take a look at those semifinal matchups.
Here's what our matchup looks like in the semifinal round. We have King Crunch facing Gravedigger, and that was really no big surprise. But the story of the night was No Problem facing Barbarian. And we might add here that No Problem had the fastest time in the quarterfinal round.
Thanks, Chris. That's the way they'll match up when we come back to the Monsters later. But when we return from this break, it's more pulling. The 4x4s in Owensboro on Tuff Trax. TNT Motorsports bringing you Tuff Trax and the best action of the TNT All-American Pulling Series. As you look up the Ohio River near Owensboro, Kentucky, we're heading back out to the Davis County Lions Club Fairgrounds for the 4x4, the pull-off in the modified four-wheel drive competition. That's not one of those four-wheel drives there, though, Army.
No, what this is a specialty vehicle. They call it the Bounty Hunter. It's a showpiece of an 18-wheeler. The body raises and turns 360 degrees. However, the driver's kind of unique as he is one of the normal pullers on our national circuit, Scott.
That, of course, being Ray Carpenter. He drives in the two-wheel drive division with the Sundance Kid. Just bringing this truck out, and everybody really gets a kick out of seeing this.
Yeah, these people from Owensboro, Davis County, they gather once a year for this event. A lot of community pride in it. And speaking of pride, the winning pride is going to go back to Oklahoma. We just received word that Tennessean will not be in a pull-off.
Yeah, that cylinder we talked about earlier in the show, indeed, he has a problem with it. He'll not be able to run. So Oklahoma Showdown just needs to go 75 feet to get the win because he's the only truck that's in the pull-off now.
And the reason he has to pull it all is you must pull the sled. You've got to move it. So the 75-foot mark makes it an official pull. Our congratulations go to the Johnson brothers. They've won in Owensboro, Kentucky before. Like I say, they kind of got a handle on this track and a job well done. A well-deserved win for these youngsters out of Oklahoma. Perry, Oklahoma, they call home, Scott.
And indeed, it'll be an official pull. And so Mike Johnson out of Perry, Oklahoma, and the Oklahoma Showdown comes away from the Davis County Lions Club Fairgrounds in Owensboro with the win. The Tennessean gets the second despite the engine problem. Saturday Night Drill at third. Manuel Marino is fourth in the Yellow Rose. And Mr. Sparkle rounds out the top 5.
Mike Johnson out of Perry, Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Showdown Chevrolet seems to like to play at the Davis County, Kentucky Fairground, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. We've always been able to figure this track out and do real well here. I hated to see that Donnie Sanders couldn't come back in the pull-off, but a year ago he got an easy one on me. I broke when we were up in Indiana. Clutch locked up on us and we couldn't come back, and so he got an easy one on us there, so I guess I get one tonight.
Okay, Donnie had problems tonight. You've had problems before. We're halfway through the season chasing this national championship points. There's a lot of money out there. Can you win it for Chevrolet?
I don't know. We got off to a tough start at the first of the season. We got back behind a little bit. We had a fuel pump go bad on us. We didn't figure it out till it was too late down in the points. But if we can keep winning like we did tonight, we could come back and be in the contention.
Here's a new look at the pulling points in the All-American Pulling Series. Yellow Rose in first. Second is Tennessean. Third spot is Saturday Night's Driller. Fourth, it's the Bandit. And taking a look at the number 5 spot, it's Kendall. Moving on into the 6th position, Georgia Rebel. A tie for the 7th position, Golahan Special and Mr. Sparkle, both at 840. Our 9th spot, Wild Blue. And rounding out the top 10, it's Footloose with 800. When we come back, more hot stuff from Nashville, Tennessee, right here on Tuff Trax. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to TNT Motorsports and Tuff Trax as the TNT Monster Truck Challenge has you at Nashville Motor Raceway in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm Scott Douglas, along with Army Armstrong and Chris Chapman, getting ready for what ought to be a thrilling semifinal round of competition. There you see David Morris, the driver of the Equalizer, and his wife Nancy, obviously not happy that they're not in the semifinals. His point lead is going to be narrowed some tonight. Here's a guy who is in the semifinals, Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger, and he's got a big challenge beside him. The fast qualifier and last week's winner, the guy carrying the silver flag, Scott Stevens, and King Crunch will battle the Digger. Army, this is going to be a dandy.
Scott, I think this is going to be one of the quickest races of the night. The question is, who can stay on the track? Both trucks make a lot of horsepower. They're both rear engines. As a matter of fact, Scott Stevens told me one of the reasons he built his truck the way he did was because of the Gravedigger, but he thinks his will handle a little bit better. Let's see what's going to happen. Stevens is out. Gravedigger's coming on him. Oh, what a run down the left side.
Digger Digger crossed the finish line first. However, again, it did not look like he got the cars, did not get the wheels up on the cars, and is going to be disqualified. Let's watch the replay again, Army, and there you see it.
Yeah, Scott, the word comes to us. We do have a disqualification out of that right lane. The Gravedigger will not be back. Stevens will go into the final.
Gravedigger, there you see it. Digger did beat him across the finish line. That's the timing tape, but that's not the question. Gravedigger is disqualified because both of his wheels did not hit the front part of the obstacle on that set of jumps. So unfortunately, Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger DQ.
Whoa, we got down to the final four in Nashville. As a Gravedigger working on the left side. A bonsai run, but that last set of cars, it looked like you weren't set up for it.
No, I wasn't, but you know, I knew that I was going to get put out this round, so I had to go for broke. I busted a back drive shaft in that round, but we'll get it patched back up, and we'll be back. We'll be after King Crunch.
How are the T-shirt sales going tonight after a super show like this?
I hope they're doing good. I need it.
All right, thank you very much. Scott, come here a minute. Second week in a row, you're going to the final. You keep getting quicker and quicker. Real quick, what lane are you going to be coming out of in that final? Like I don't know the answer already.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in my lane. You know, that white truck just can't stay on the track. You know, last week he said that he was the toughest. Hey, we were going to the final round again. I don't see that white truck again. And, you know, I want the white truck. You know, he's a national champion. And, you know, in the next round, we're going to be against a Tuff Truck. And, you know, they put USA 1 out. And, you know, that's who we really wanted to race. But we will race anybody we can get. We're just glad to be here tonight.
So Scott Stevens may be throwing down a gauntlet that'll be picked up in future weeks here on Tuff Trax. Next time you get a chance to see King Crunch and USA 1 face off, keep your eye on it. But right now, one of these trucks wants to meet King Crunch. No problem. And the Barbarian. Here go the Fords.
Watch the Barbarian. We told you the story. He pulls the trigger on it. He's like a rocket right. Oh, he's got a fire, Scott. The throttle wide open. He can just hang on for the ride.
Looking through the smoke and the haze, Barbarian won it with an explosion of fire and a cloud of smoke. Jim Miller's Barbarian did get the victory. But has he got anything left?
Right now, you're going to have to keep an eye on the left side of the screen as Moore definitely missed his jump. The Barbarian comes out and explodes, just like riding a Brahma bull. When you come out of that chute, you just hold on for the ride, Scott.
So, problem for the Barbarian, no problem is disqualified, and that could leave who's going to run in the final up in the air for a few moments.
Jim, do you have any idea what caused the explosion on that run?
Well, what happened, just too much RPM, and the front drive shaft flew off and just disintegrated my whole transmission pan.
Okay, what, the drive shaft slung up into the pan and let all the fluid come out? That's what gave us a flash fire?
That's right. About 4 gallons come out just instantly.
But you finally got the truck running where you want it to run. That's got to be some consolation for you.
That's right. I respect this motor, and it's running good for me, but the transmissions ain't holding up.
It doesn't look as if the Barbarian can make the finals, and no problem has been DQ'd. But when we return, we'll find an opponent for King Crunch, and we'll watch a hard-hitting stunt, Jerry Allen and the Steel Wall of Death, right here on Tuff Trax.
It's just about Monster Mash time in Nashville, but no problem, and Barbarian cannot advance. So the fastest loser from the quarterfinal, Tough Enough, will be allowed to come back against King Crunch. While we're waiting on that finale, let's go to Chris Chapman and our stuntman, Jerry Allen.
So, Jerry, what are you getting ready to do out here?
Well, it's called a steel wall crash, and the idea is the 2 cars that we have standing up on its back bumper to hit it at the correct speed, flip it over top of me in time to hit the second one and flip it.
Have you ever been hurt? It sounds kind of dangerous.
Well, several times, and we have a problem here tonight with the fact that the second car does not have a motor in it to make it flip, so I may end up as wearing it for a bow tie before it's over.
Well, let's find out, Army. We've called some wild action here on TNT's Tuff Trax, but this is definitely going to be a little different. We know what Jerry Allen's going to try to do. We'll see if he can pull it off in front of a capacity crowd at Nashville.
Better he than me, Scott, as they head around that #1 corner. This is really thrilling. The crowd's getting into it. Man, these people have had a chance to see this super monster truck racing, but right now they're watching the high banks at Nashville Speedway.
The Steel Wall of Death. Jerry Allen hits it in, and he got the second one, indeed, successfully going through the Steel Wall of Death. Stuntman Jerry Allen pulls it off in front of the capacity crowd at Nashville Motor Raceway. Let's slow it down and watch it. Bang! Right in there. You see him flip the first car. He's still got enough momentum to hit into the second car and flip it as well. Wow, what a stunt.
He almost flipped that second car 360 degrees. The impact is amazing. You can actually feel it.
I'll tell you, Jerry's a nice guy, but sometimes you wonder what makes him tick. You know what I mean?
I'm not riding to the hotel with him.
Guarantee that. All right, great action there. Now we're ready for the championship. It'll be Scott Stevens and King Crunch against Tough Enough. Army is caught up with Scott Stevens as he gets ready to try and make it 2 in a row here on Tuff Trax.
Scott Stevens, they call the final race the Monster Mash. The big question right now is who you're going to be going up against.
Yeah, you know, it looks like it's going to be Tough Enough. He's been running pretty good. He got put out a couple of rounds earlier, but he's running real good. We were hoping it was USA 1, but, you know, it wasn't. You know, we'll take anybody we can get.
You were walking up here just a minute ago to do the interview with us, and everybody was watching you look at the track. What do you look for on a track like this? 400 feet long, 3 jumps, but what is the driver looking for?
Well, I've walked down at every pass that I've made tonight. I just being sure there isn't no changes, like the end car getting beat out of shape real bad, because we're not getting enough distance to jump all the cars, so we're kind of landing the back end in the last couple of cars, and be sure nothing's happening real bad on the second and third set of cars. So the first set, you know, there's only 3 cars, and we're getting over those real easy, but you don't have enough momentum to get over that second set or the third set. I just want to be sure I don't have no big hole to fall in there.
Boy, you can tell he's disappointed that he doesn't get a chance to prove his point directly to USA 1. But the next best thing is to prove his point by keeping that silver flag, and that's what Scott Stevens is going to do right now.
2 in a row, it's going to be hard to do. This kid out of Phoenix, Arizona is dialing in. Every time he makes a run, he gets a little bit quicker. He backed into it, literally. He was put out earlier, like Scott said, but believe me, when that light goes green, it's all even. Who's it going to be, the Ford or the Chevy, Scott?
We're going to find out here as Scott Stevens gets a good hold shot. He is building up the lead. King Crunch with a lot of bounce, and he's going to hold on. He holds off the charge of Tough Enough, make it 2 in a row for King Crunch and Scott Stevens from Woodlands, Texas.
Boy, the people down here, they're used to seeing good racing. This is no exception.
Here's the replay, Army.
Yeah, Stevens gets out on it. But what amazes me is the Tough Enough truck. He didn't quit. Stevens comes over the jump first, settles down. Now Tough Enough comes over. But watch the finish line. It looked to me like the Tough Enough was charging harder at the end than Stevens was. However, the finish line goes to Stevens for his second week. Congratulations to him.
Scott Stevens holds on to that silver flag, and he certainly is making his presence known in Nashville, Tennessee.
For the second week in a row, the Monster Mash final goes back to the Lone Star State of Texas in the form of Scott Stevens with King Crunch. Scott, everybody's been talking. They've been jumping on you. A lot of mouthing off going out there, but you're just putting them away one by one.
Yeah, you know, a few weeks ago, everybody just didn't think a whole lot about the truck. We just, you know, we broke 11 transmissions, never got it down the track, and hey, we never gave up. And now, you know, we're putting everybody on the trailer. That white truck's going again. You know, hey, he can't get down the track. He said, you know, he was quicker, you know. Well, we'd have been 2 seconds quicker tonight, maybe, you know. If he would have been here, we'd have had to run a little harder. But he isn't here. You know, just Goodyear's tires on the truck, the Trailmaster suspension, the competition cams, hey, the wax shop. Everybody is, the truck's working great, and, you know, we're just ready to go now. Another weekend, we didn't hurt nothing last weekend. And the weekend before, we didn't hurt nothing. Qualified quick 3 weeks in a row now. You know, we're just ready to go. The truck's, you know, like I said, we hadn't hurt nothing.
This is the way they line up in the TNT Monster Truck Challenge points now. Equalizer in first place. Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher in second. It's USA 1 and Rod Litzow in third. Gravedigger in fourth. And Dave Wyzorek in Nightlife rounding out the top 5. Moving on into the 6th position, it's Awesome Kong with 226 points. Then it's John Breed's Mad Dog. And then we move on to another John, a John by the name of John Moore and No Problem in the 8th spot. Wild Hair in 9th and rounding it out, Stomper in the 10th spot.
Thank you, Chris. And there you see it. Scott Stevens really getting to like that silver flag. He'll take it for the second week in a row to our next stop on Tuff Trax. That stop will be in Kalamazoo, Michigan. You're going to see some awesome power with the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. The superstars of monster truck racing once again next week right here on TNT's Tuff Trax.
Is the world